Now, before we proceed on today's video, let's actually take a look at one of the most archetypal monsters of the century, zombies. So, just to go a little bit over with the history of it, the term zombie actually comes from Haitian folklore, where a Bokor, or a witch doctor, would pretty much revive a corpse using a certain method, and said corpse would be used as a mindless servant, as payment for an offense, or just to get some help around the house. During the US occupation of Haiti from 1915 to 1934, the concept made its way into the US to be described as evil witchcraft, since the concept of living corpses was associated with hauntings and the unholy. But it was in the 1968 movie directed by George A. Romero, Night of the Living Dead, that solidified zombies as an archetypal ghoul. In the 1990s, however, the zombie received a revival in Capcom's Resident Evil and Sega's House of the Dead series, with a new possibility of zombieism being created through more scientific means. Zombies would continue to be a part of the media landscape with franchises like The Walking Dead, The Last of Us, 28 Days Later, and my personal favorite, the Call of Duty Zombies storyline. And while technically there are real zombies living in Haiti today, which is just crazy, I mean, they're basically just a cultural quirk within their legal system. Anyways, outside of that, it still kind of surprises me that the CDC actually has an informational material in the event of a zombie apocalypse. Like, no joke. The US government actually has a contingency plan 8888 in the event of a zombie apocalypse, so all that's really left is just follow the playbook, stay up to date as new information pops up, put the bullcrap in, wear the protection you need if you have to go out and see the outside. I mean, even if it's not zombie related, that basically means that in the event of a pandemic, we kinda have the basic framework to just beast our way through it. I don't know if you guys can tell right now, but I'm kinda salty. Yeah. I did not expect 2020 to go this way. Not at all. So basically, right now, zombies are kind of going through this whole phase where, it's a lot more than just, zombies consuming the flesh off the living. It's actually more about, adding social commentary into the zombies genre.
What am I doing with my life? I just want to connect. Why can't I connect with people? Oh, right. It's because I'm dead.
So, who do we have on the vivisection table today? Well, the idol genre. Why? Well, let's just say that it should come to no surprise to people, though I'm not really a huge fan of the idol genre. And it's not that I don't like, anime girls dancing on stage and singing, especially if they're cute. It's just that there are some things within the real life idol, idol culture that I'm not particularly fond of.
She's only 6 years old. Her dream? To be a singing sensation. But here she is now, entertaining men in a sleazy Tokyo district.
So in Japanese idol culture, there is something called reinai kinshi, in which idols are not allowed to date other guys. So can you tell me what are your thoughts on this? So in Western cultures, right, you see like pop idols like Justin Bieber, like they're dating all around. Yeah. So why do you think it's different from like Western cultures and Japan?
I think about that like sometimes because in Western culture it's like kind of normal to like date and everyone knows about it. But in Japan it's like you have to keep it secret or like you can't date with a person.
Yeah, like why? Why do you think Western idols and Western pop guys and pop girls are allowed to date, whereas Korean idols, Japanese idols, why are they not allowed to date?
Yamaguchi Maho, one member of NGT48, was on her way home, and being an idol, she said she is very cautious. When she goes home, she always checks around her to make sure no one is following her. She's very aware of her surroundings. Like most idols have to be, just in case. And this, of course, was very upsetting to her, as it would be to anyone who is assaulted on their doorstep. So being frustrated, Yamaguchi took to a live stream where she just released that information that she had been keeping a secret, and she explained to her fans why she had been on a social media hiatus and that she was assaulted and she's been waiting and nothing has been done about it. Unfortunately, since Yamaguchi took to this live stream and told her information about being assaulted, her management company was very upset, and on their 3rd anniversary stage, they made her apologize. She bowed and apologized for causing her fans trouble, which many fans think is just ridiculous and horrendous.
Anyways, so, what makes this show so special? Well, or what do zombies have to do with it? Well, let's actually talk about the fall 2018 series, animated by MAPPA, directed by Munehisa Sakai, and written by Shigeru Murakoshi. This is Zombie Land Saga. So, we should probably start off with what the story's about. Well, it's told mostly from the perspective of Sakura, a high school girl with a dream of becoming an idol, which unfortunately gets cut short because she gets run over by a Japanese pickup truck. Oh, by the way, that's a Mitsubishi Minicab 4x4, which is basically the Toyota Tundra of Japan. Apparently Japan uses a different type of pickup truck. But anyways, moving on. 10 years after that incident, and she is revived along with 6 other girls. How? Anime does not say. But I do have a theory. So during World War II, Japan had conducted several experiments under the guise of disease prevention and water purification. In reality, it was a research program for bioweapons, and it was headed by Unit 731 in Manchuria. Now, I won't go into the gory details, but let's just say it's enough to make Joseph Mengele lose his lunch. Anyways, much like it was theorized that the Nazis were working on making zombie units, it was possible that Unit 731 could have done something similar, given that it was headed by the Kempeitai, which also had connections with other groups such as the Sutenstaffel. So, combine their research with the research made by the Nazis, it would be possible that they could have cracked the recipe to making zombies. There's just one problem with this theory, though. Japan is a country that cremates their dead. So, I really have no idea how they could reanimate perfectly preserved bodies if there are no perfectly preserved bodies to speak of. Okay, basically, unlike Unit 731, the goal of this group is not to, create a bunch of super soldiers that are immune to bullets. Instead, it's to make the perfect idol group, to bring in some tourists and interest into Saga, a Japanese prefecture in southern Japan. Now, and for those of you who are wondering where it is, it's right in between Fukuoka and Nagasaki prefectures. Because, what else are you going to do with a bunch of zombie girls? Move to Haiti? I mean, yeah, they would legally have, legal rights, but, we ain't doing that. Hashtag zombie lives matter. There, I dropped it. There, I said it. Anyways, you guys are probably asking, what's the point of making the girls zombies? Well, as I mentioned before, it's to give an applicable commentary about the idol industry as a whole. I mean, if you think about it, zombies can resist fatigue, they won't age, and are presumably fit for the job in that sense. Which, if you think about it, is kind of the same requirements as Hatsune Miku, which, basically, I'm a bit of a fan of. But, Hokkaido's already getting a lot of tourists, mostly through their snow festival. So, basically, the first half of the story is the girls having to adopt to the life of being both zombies and idols. By the way, I should also probably mention that there was one scene where one of the girls just fell apart, and this is probably because of fatigue, and she says, oh no, this is just natural, it happens all the time. Like, really, girl? Bunch of, dancers just falling to pieces all of a sudden? I don't think that's normal. And, that's kind of what the first half is basically a highlight of. The other half of the story is sort of to, give purpose to idols. Why exactly does Japan have an idol industry to begin with if it is so toxic? You get what I mean? It also fleshes them out, phrasing, in the sense of giving, in sense of giving us a little bit more of their backstories, so to speak. It's got a lot of, most of the comedy is situational, and, it's more about the dynamics within the characters, but thankfully, there are some pretty good characters. So, let's talk about them. So, Sakura, as I mentioned before, is pretty much the focus character, the sort of ground character that from which we see most of the, from whose perspective we see most from. And well, she kind of has amnesia at the first part, the first half of the show. Well, and let's just say that Truck-kun kind of hit it on the head, and it's just there by circumstance, so to speak. Along with Tai, which which is pretty much the only zombie that didn't 100% wake up and realize that she came back from the dead. Or or she was always like that, even when she was alive. Chicken or the egg. Take your pick. Anyways, I don't know. She's just there. She's good company, so to speak. But if we go by chronological order, though, let's actually, it's a little bit more interesting. We have Yugiri, who is basically a geisha from the 19th century, basically giving us a connection between idols and entertainers from that era, which is honestly a connection I didn't really think of too much of. Like, it makes a little bit more sense when you think about it. Then there's Junko, a girl from the 1980s who was from an era when idols were basically just TV personalities, and the ones that appear on TV and are a lot more distant. In fact, she's actually very introverted, and in a modern world that demands extroverts, like in-betweeners like me, in a world that is practically dominated by parasocial relationships, like this one that we share right now, it's really hard. And then there's the individual on the extreme other side of the spectrum, which is Saki, a former biker girl from the era of the Bosuzoku biker gangs, which is basically the equivalent of Japanese cholos. It's basically either a counterculture or an affiliation to organized crime. It's usually somewhere in the middle. It's very muddled. Not to be confused with Japanese cholos, which are actually people who take up the cholo style from here in the United States. I really gotta stop watching Vice and a lot more Donut. Shout out to the boys of Donut Media for teaching me what Bosuzokus actually are. Anyways, so despite being from a former gang life, she's actually maintains some of the outgoingness and is not really that afraid to express what she's thinking. In other words, I kind of like her. I'll just say that. I'm not a simp. I'm just at a distance. So. Then there's Ai, a girl from the modern era of idols who is way more familiar with the industry as a whole. And let's just say she's a really hard worker in the sense that, well, she died in the middle of the performance, and unfortunately a lot of people only remember her as that idol that died. But she doesn't want to be remembered as that idol that died. She still wants to keep going. She wants to give people the performance of a lifetime. She wants to make, get people all warm and fuzzy in the inside, give them something to enjoy, give them something to relax to. She's a hard worker. I can respect that. And then there's Lily, a child acting prodigy that died during stress. She's honestly a pretty cute girl and... Wait, what? Lily's actually a boy that did female roles. And, at first I thought it was just, she was an otonokonoko, or otokonoko, sorry, at first I thought she was an otokonoko, which is basically a cross-dressing guy, at a young age. But as it turns out, she's actually transgendered. And, well, yeah, a lot of people were going in the circles as to define her, which, honestly, here's where I stand in that position. And this is just something that even my dad and I share. If it looks like a chick, acts like a chick, and identifies like a chick, then she's a chick. And vice versa. And the same thing can apply for the guys that's here. Is it weird if a guy can be both sexist but trans-accepting? I'm just asking, is that possible? Or did I just sneak into my dad's marijuana stash again? Anyways, that's where I argue, and also I argue under a spiritual level that the male version of her died a long time ago. She is reborn as a chick. Therefore, she is a girl. By all intents and purposes. Or at least, that's how I choose to define her, because she chooses to define herself that way. Basically, Lily is a transgender icon that says, go ahead, bury your LGBTQ members. They're just gonna come back as zombies and haunt you. Or, I don't know. She's a real delight, honestly. She's cute. She practically steals the scene. And honestly, before anyone asks, yes, the Texas Rangers pretty much have a beat on me. Why do you think I'm wearing a bulletproof jacket on first? I'm not actually into pedophilia, guys. I'm not watching cuties. I told my sister to get me out of the Netflix thing. All right, I'm not into the thing you think I am. Aren't you guys busy with the court case anyways? Jesus. And then there's Kotaro, the group's manager. And I'm just going to go ahead and say this. The guy's crazier than Rick Toffin from Call of Duty Zombies. He's really intense, loud, and at times surprisingly profound and caring for, when he's actually more chill. But, I don't know. Let's just say, don't watch the ending if you want to keep liking this guy. Because he gets really messed up. Like, how do I say this? Ignoring the whole fact that he had to somehow find non-cremated corpses and somehow bring them back to life. He also had to study, music engineering. He also had to study sewing. He had to study business. He had to study makeup. All sorts of things. And I'm like, dude, how obsessive can you be with trying to create a zombie idol group, dude? Like, dude, that's a lot of work. I mean, yeah, I do a lot of work, but that's only because I got no other choice. It's a choice for me to make a YouTube video, but that's because I actually like you guys, and I actually want you guys to subscribe and like, and, help me get out of this situation where I have to help my family out because I'm living in this household. So, no pressure. Just share the video. I mean, it is the season. Now, as for the background characters, they only really, some of them are either one-shot characters, others appear in the background once in a while. But, it's like, at least they know which characters to reuse and which characters are just one-shot. It shows that they know what they're doing with this story. Now, in terms of art style, how about they hit the appropriate center? I mean, it looks like an anime, but it's not generic anime. You guys know what I'm talking about. They really put some care into this, rather than just shipping off their designs to Korea to be turned into an animation. I mean, they certainly probably sent their cells to Korea to be done, but there's a lot more care put into it. Like, they did most of the heavy lifting, before it was put into its final production. So, and fortunately, the character designs definitely reflect the personalities of each individual. You have Junko and I having that yin-yang sort of thing, one dressing in black and the other one dressing in white. Yugiri, despite not wearing a lot of geisha clothes all the time, still manages to somehow sneak in some geisha elements. Tyus is wearing whatever. Saki definitely has a much more athletic attire. And of course, Lily looks very, very cute and everything. I know, Texas Rangers. I know you guys have a beat on me. I know that. Don't you guys have Netflix to prosecute right now? Come on. She has a little star in between her pigtails. It's very adorable. And, yeah. That's all I really gotta say. The characters move a lot more fluidly in their normal animation. You'll see what I mean by that. And the saga kind of gets thrown in there like I put cayenne pepper on Carol Shelby's famous chili. Not enough that it makes you want to drink the rivers dry, but definitely enough to have a glass of milk nearby. Now, I do gotta address the crappy CGI in 3 of the total performances that were done within the show, because, well, I don't like it. I don't like it. And yes, I do know that some people sort of defend it by saying that it's meant to be a parody of the fact that, idol anime do that. But, I don't know, that seems like just a cop-out. Because, I mean, if you're going to be using CGI, then may as well make all the characters CGI. Just make it easier on my brain to process what is the background and what is the foreground, Like, don't just switch styles in the middle of the show, alright? Don't do that. My brain doesn't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. So, just leaving it at that. I don't really have a problem with CG anime. I think that some CG anime actually pull it off pretty darn well. But it is pretty jarring when they do that whole, hey, now all the characters are CG characters. That messes with me. That messes with me a lot. Now, of course, because this is an idol anime, there's obviously, music is going to be a larger factor than I normally put it. Anyways, most of the composition was done by Yasuharu Takanashi, which, by the way, if you guys have seen Log Horizon, Naruto, or anything from the Pretty Cure franchise, then you're probably already familiar with this person's work. Which, if that's the case, I really gotta be careful with what I say then. Cause, I mean, it's alright, It's good. I mean, I like the variety of songs, and there are some that I don't mind listening to. I mean, heck, we all remember that one, that one rapping scene that became a meme for a while. But, that's really one of the highlights. And I do like some of the other songs, but then there are some that, honestly, I just can't really get into, or rather, I think from a technical standpoint, is kind of bad. I really don't want to harp on Lily on this one, but her song in episode 8 was kind of, like, you're not going to win an American Idol with that. But still, it's good. They definitely had some heart in it. Or maybe, okay, I'm willing to justify that was probably done on purpose, that the clunkiness was done on purpose. But, I don't know. You guys are really going to have to come back for that one. But, all I'm saying is, it's definitely not going to stop me from if I'm listening to Hatsune Miku music. But I'll give it a shot. I like it. If it comes back for season 2, I'm hoping that the music gets better. That's all. So, overall, it's, when I heard this anime come out, I really did not know what to make of it, and certainly a lot of people did not know how to make out of it. Did not know what to make of it. But once we give it a couple of years, I'd say it's pretty good. It's a pretty good horror comedy that does parody the idol genre, specifically by tearing down the facade and propping it back up, which is probably the reason why they chose zombies in the first place, because that's exactly what they're doing. They're basically killing the idol genre, only to bring it back to life, hopefully making it better. I don't know. I mean, if you think about it, that's kind of how it works. I mean, that's kind of how Asian zombies work, at least. So basically, for zombie lovers out there, it's got something fresh. It's got something new. Something that, is actually pretty interesting. And I gotta say, I kind of feel bad for zombies now, given all the crap that we put them through. We can just assume they were just a mindless horde, but turns out even in the Romero zombie movies, the horde is actually, they actually think. They actually have feelings. They actually have emotions. God damn, guys. Thank you for making me feel bad for zombies now. Hashtag zombie lives matter. I'm not just pulling that out of my ass. I really do think that. Because, if Haiti has taught me anything, zombie lives do matter. And as for the Idleland people, well, yeah, you got something new. Something that is, something that separates from all of your, from all of your idol masters and all of your love lives, and there's something new and fresh, even if the flesh isn't really that fresh. If you think about it, I mean, you can do a lot more with the idol genre. We already have a bunch of penguin waifus. We already have Equestria Girls, the animation. Well, what more could we do with the genre? If I may suggest something. Cyberpunk idols? I mean, it would be interesting. Now that I think about it, Stage Product Reddit. Guys, if you guys ever think of making a DLC, how about that? I mean, or if you ever think of, patching an update or whatever, Cyberpunk idols. That's a good idea. Just saying. It's out there. I'm just giving you it as a freebie. Long story short, if you guys want something new to sink your teeth in, and Zombie Land Saga is a pretty good bite for us. Is a pretty good. It's a very infectious anime, so to speak. I probably shouldn't use that word in this here. Basically, I give it a 3.2 out of 5, which basically means that I'd recommend it to certain people if they're open-minded, and I definitely think that they'll enjoy it. So, that's it for me for now. Happy Halloween. I hope you guys enjoy it. And, yeah, that's all I really got for you guys for now. Leave a like, subscribe, ring the little bell thingy. Follow me on the twits if you guys feel so inclined. Because, I actually chose this out of, I actually chose to review this anime because I put up a poll up on Twitter. So, if you guys, I'll probably put up some more polls just to see what you guys want me to review next time. So, yeah, that's all I really have for you guys. And until then, this is me saying, stay safe, go out and vote, and thank you for being smart. Sayonara.